Welcome into the Players Perspective Uncensored. I am your host, Larry O'Bannon. Got my co-host with me, Ronaldo Murphy. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Man, I appreciate you welcoming me on again, man. Like the last episode went well, so I just appreciate you welcoming me back.
Man, we're starting to make this thing a habit, man. Well, we got a great episode lined up for you guys today, man. We'll talk about the recap of Louisville versus Arkansas, Louisville versus Indiana last week. We'll talk about the progress a little bit with the team, and we will preview the upcoming match with old Metro Conference rival Memphis State, or actually what they're known now is Memphis. So, got a great episode lined up for you guys. So, let's go ahead and get into it.
Yes, sir. So Louisville is coming off a victory against the Indiana Hoosiers, 87-78. Man, the Cardinals really had a good game. What's your just overall reaction after watching the Cardinals play against the Hoosiers, especially coming off the loss to Arkansas?
Well, I think for the game against Indiana, I think you have to kind of go back and start with the game at Arkansas. It was really Louisville's first road test, um, going down into Bud Walton Arena, and I think Louisville really came out. It was the first time they really played against a team that was more athletic, you know, faster, quicker than they were, and they gave them some problems. I think, all in all, I think they were just more physical, more aggressive than Louisville. You know, when you pick up the stat sheet, neither team really shot the ball well. Both teams shot 41% field goals. Arkansas shot 21% from three. Louisville shot 33% from three. I think they missed like their first 8 or 9 threes. But when you look at aggressive stats, when you look at getting to the foul line, Louisville got to the foul line 18 times. Arkansas got to the line twice as many times. They shot 35 free throws. When you look at fouls drawn, Arkansas drew 24 fouls. They only committed 15. Louisville committed, 25 fouls and only drew 14. So those are some stats when you start thinking about aggressiveness are sort of great indicators. Arkansas had 14 points off turnovers. Louisville only had 7. Also, Arkansas had 27 second chance points to Louisville's 9. And so when you talk about aggressiveness, you talk about rebounding, you've seen Billy Richmond kind of walking through and kind of being aggressive, bumping guys, and it kind of setting the tone for his team. I think that kind of, jumped on Louisville early. Trevon Brazile came out, hit some threes, although he's a low percentage three-point shooter. Guys typically shoot better when they're at home, and he came out, made 3 threes in the first half early, kind of got those guys going, and Louisville just kind of dug themselves out of a hole. I had to dig themselves out of a hole the entire game. And even yet and still, as bad as they had played and the lack of aggression that they showed, they still had an opportunity to win the game. I think for the first time at the end of the game, I think there was a little bit of panic. They cut it down to 5. I think it was 79-84, if I believe. And it was about 4 minutes to go. And I felt like Louisville just started panicking and taking bad shots instead of really taking their time and executing on each possession. But it was a great learning experience. If you listen to Pat Kelsey in his press conference, I think he addressed that. He was pretty upset with the aggressiveness that Louisville had played with. And so I'm sure he got after those guys in practice the next few days, which led to the game against Indiana when you saw a completely different team. You saw a team that jumped on Indiana from the jump. They were aggressive into guys defensively. You saw Javon Hadley out there hitting guys, knocking guys down on screens. And so I think the message went through. And so when you talk about the game against Indiana, it was just a great lesson learned for those guys. They came out aggressive, set the tone, and they imposed their will on the game rather than somebody imposing the will with them. So, and you look at the stats, they shot 46% from the 2. They shot 41% from the 3. That's more like the shooting team that we've become accustomed to seeing from University of Louisville this year. And, they had 9 steals and just overall just really did a great job of forcing their style of play into the game and really taking away a lot of the things that Indiana wanted to do, and in turn, coming out with the victory.
Right. Yeah, it was good to see that they bounced back from that Arkansas game. I know a lot of fans online were, really giving the team the blues as far as just saying that, hey, you guys didn't really play physical, you played soft. But really kind of show their resilience in that next game with Indiana. Like they really did come out. You could tell in that first 5 minutes of the game that they really came to play. It was a different team than the 5 minutes opening of the Arkansas game. One player that really kind of stuck out to me in that Indiana game that really had an impact was Sananda Faru. I mean, just with his energy, his rebounding, defense, and then he was even scoring like just from what I'm seeing online and speaking to a couple of people that I know, it just seems like he's really progressed this game. Well, what'd you think about his performance and just his overall progression from coming to America and really kind of getting his feet set?
I think he settled in. I love the way he performed. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds in the game against Indiana. He had a 12 plus minus, which was the second highest on the team behind Javon Hadley. But he went perfect from the field. He was 3 from 3 from the field. He had 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. And I think he's just settled in and found his role within the team. I think he understands Pat Kelsey's system more and more each and every week. He made a great move where he faked the handoff and kept it and went to the hole and jammed it. Should have been an and one. But you just see his comfort level just growing and growing and growing. Playing the college game, playing under Pat Kelsey, playing with his teammates, learning where these guys like the ball, learning to pick his spots in the offense of where he can be aggressive. But I think the main thing that's really noticeable about him is his presence defensively and his presence on the rebounding.
Yeah.
He gets guys a lot of wide open threes just from his second chance opportunities, getting offensive rebounds. And so what ends up happening is he does so many dribble handoffs, so many pick and rolls with shooters that his man has to help on these guys. And so when he's rolling to the basket, he may not get it or he may have a stunt help, but he's in a position to clear out and box out for the offensive rebound a lot of times when these guys shoot the ball. And so he's done a great job of finding his niche, man. And that's why you see the team really starting to take off a little bit because he's starting to play really well.
Right. Do you think since he is from overseas, like I don't think many people think about like the everyday life element that that a college basketball player has to go through. So do you think him actually kind of getting settled like life wise and getting the routine, do you think that kind of played a part into his play as far as just getting comfortable in a new setting?
Most definitely. I can speak from that because in my playing career, I was inverted where he was in Europe and coming to America. I was in America going to Europe.
Right.
And it's a different culture. It's a different world. It's a different routine that you do every day, being on campus with student athletes. He's used to playing professional. He would go to practice in the morning, lift weights. And then he was going home and being with his family or going about whatever he wanted to do with his day.
Right.
And coming from Europe and coming to college is a lot more structure. It's a lot more planned. Everything is really planned out for you from the time you wake up to individuals, to practice, to class, to what you eat, when you eat, where you eat.
Right.
And, it's an adjustment period. Obviously, English is not his first language. He speaks it well, but it's not his first language. So it's a lot of adjustments from the standpoint of what you're talking about, adjusting to the game, but also adjusting to life outside of basketball as well. So it seems like he's really getting comfortable. His teammates make him comfortable. He obviously has a great coaching staff that he believes in. That's why he's here. That's making him feel comfortable. So it just seems like everything's starting to come together for him, man, and it really shows on the basketball court.
Right. You mentioned that Louisville shot 41% from the three. One thing that I noticed during the game was Michael Brown. He really didn't have an impact on the game scoring wise, but he was really dishing it off to, driving and kicking it out to Isaac, or driving and kicking it out to Conwell. And they were really shooting, great from the 3-point line. What do you think about the shooting performance, and then also just Michael's performance of not just necessarily coming in and impacting the game by scoring, but dishing out the ball?
Well, I think he's really settling into the point guard role, right? And I think he knew from the beginning that he had some veteran guys and that he had guys he could lean on. But now I think the trust and the belief is really starting to settle in, because sometimes you see him force the issue or you may see him out of control a little bit. But now you can really see him picking his spots where he's getting in the lane and kicking it out to guys for wide open threes, or he might drop it off to the big guys for a dunk. And then you'll notice where he picks his spots where guys are not helping and he's able to get to the basket and finish. Like he had a monstrous dunk against Arkansas with
Yes.
his left hand going into the lane. And so I think he's starting to pick his spots. I think the game is slowing down for him. I think he's getting used to the physicality of the collegiate game. And I think overall he's just starting to get more settled and more into his role of, being a true point guard, distributing and finding that balance of scoring and getting other guys involved.
Right. So, Louisville played great in Indianapolis. There was a good fan reception there. You had a lot of people that traveled up right up the road to Indianapolis to catch the Cards. But this weekend on Saturday, Louisville takes on Memphis State. Yeah, we said it right, Memphis State. Now, this rivalry just goes back decades. I believe back to the 70s, I want to say. When you think about Memphis State and Louisville, what's kind of some things that come to mind to you?
Man, it probably started way before I even got to the University of Louisville, because I remember when, Elliot Perry was there with the goggles. Obviously, I remember Penny Hardaway. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Cedric Henderson, I just remember him flying around. He was, a heck of a player. But I just remember they always had, man, some great athletes. They had some great teams, man. And their uniforms, that silver and gray, they was always sweet, man. And I think really Penny was the first one that really kind of, brought it to notice, even though I knew other guys, but Penny was the guy that really took Memphis State to another level, man. And they were just always some great games. It just seems like a natural rival between Memphis State and University of Louisville, Memphis now. And, the fans love to travel, going down to Memphis, going down on Beale Street. Memphis fans would always travel to Freedom Hall and to the Yum Center to play. So it just seemed like a match made for both sides to always play year in and year out, especially, going from the Metro Conference to Conference USA, and now they're not, in the same conference, but it's good to see that both schools have got that game renewed and back on the schedule for both teams, both in the fan bases.
Right. It's good to see Louisville playing Cincinnati, Kentucky, and Memphis State. Like it feels like the old days again. So I had to ask you this. Now, when I think about Memphis, like my number one memory is when Darius Washington had the 3 free throws to win. I want to say it was the Conference USA title game.
It was.
And all you seen is this. And he just crying. So when I went back and looked, I didn't know what year, and I said, "Oh man, LO played in that game." So let's play a clip from that game, and you just kind of tell us what was going on at these particular moments. So give me one moment.
Okay, I can walk you through it.
Okay, give me one.
And while you're doing that, I can kind of give you context that led up to this game, because early in the year, Memphis had come into Freedom Hall and they mopped the floor with us. They beat us by like 20 points on our home floor, ended like a 13-game winning streak. They were, Darius Washington talked big trash. We tried to press him. We couldn't press him. He was just dribbling through our press like hot knife through butter. And man, he was talking big trash. Nothing we could do about it because he was having his way that night. We end up coming back down to play them at their place, like one of the last games of the regular season, and we beat them. And I ended up getting hurt early in that game, and I hurt my tailbone really bad, and I couldn't play, but we still were able to pull it out. And so, but somehow, man, they would always struggle with other teams, and they finished very mid to average in the conference. And so the conference tournament was played on their home floor, and I want to say they were like a 7 or 8 seed, and they had to win 4 games in 4 days to even have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Because if they didn't win the conference tournament, they wasn't going to the NCAA tournament.
Man.
And so they played 4 games in 4 days, and they made their way all the way to the championship on the 4th day when we played. And so it was a back and forth game, man. It was a battle. And so it was a lot of that built up into the final moments of that game with Darius Washington, because right before that situation, I had made a big 4-point play to give us the lead going into the final moments, but I ended up missing a free throw, but it gave us the lead that we needed. And so Brad Giannini got fouled. We got defense stop. Brad Giannini got fouled, made 2 free throws. Mind you, he hadn't played all game, came off the bench ice cold, and made these 2 free throws. And it led to the situation with Darius Washington getting the ball, dribbling the length of the floor, and getting fouled, as you're going to see in the clip that you play.
Okay, let's see here.
And he will go to the line where he is 2 of 3 today. And they're going to check where he's going to shoot it from here.
Mind you, we had been in a
The quick look like it may have been a 3. Here's this will give us a look.
Sparks got up there and made all 3 free throws, and Kentucky beat us at home. So as soon as this happened, I was like, man, you have got to be kidding me. Like, not another situation where we fouled somebody at the buzzer, especially for a conference championship.
Right.
And for me, man, it meant something more, because this would have been my second conference championship. But I feel like this is the first one that I was really a part of, because my sophomore year we had won one, but it was a bad time for me and the team, and I didn't really feel like I contributed or I was a part of it. So this was sort of a redemption for me, and so that's why it really meant so much. And so, mind you, when the referees pushed us back to where we couldn't talk, because I was talking cash crazy to him, the referees kept pushing us back. And so when he made the first one, he pounded his chest. I just told him all we needed is one. I said, all we need is one, the game's over. So when he missed that one, I walked up and I said, it's over, because worst case, it's overtime. It's over regardless. I said, you better make this one. So then the referee pushed me back, and he was going up to shoot this third one. And when he missed and dropped, we didn't feel no sympathy for him. We probably talked even crazier to him.
Because he talked cash.
Yeah, because he was talking cash crazy. And so I can't repeat what we said, even though this is uncensored. I can't repeat what I said, man. But, yeah, we let him have it a little bit. We ended up shaking his hand and, wishing him best of luck. But it was a crazy situation, man. It doesn't seem like he ever bounced back from that situation, because, when you hear Darius Washington, that's sort of what he's known for.
That's what he's known for.
That moment. To be honest with you. But man, that is one of the vivid memories that I have, man. And people come up and talk to me at least once or twice a month about this Memphis game or the senior night or the West Virginia game. One of those 3 games, those were 3 kind of like monumental moments that people really remember from my team.
I know you're gonna hear it this week, because man, when this happened, like, oh my God, we was going crazy in my house when this happened. But he never did bounce back from this. Actually, I did see on Instagram he is a youth basketball coach right now. So
yeah, heck of a player though, man. Talking about a guy that was a heck of a player. But can you imagine the amount of pressure that he had in that moment to have a subpar season for the talent that they had, to make 3 free throws for the whole city and the university to go to the NCAA tournament?
That's tough.
And man, it would just prove to be a little bit too much for him. But great memories, man. We just happened to be on the right side of it this time.
Right side of history. Like, I want to say the last game that I forgot, there was some type of interaction here recently where, did he coach somewhere or was he at a game? No, what it was the TBT. He was part of the TBT this summer.
He was.
And fans gave him the blues. Like, I was like, if I were you, I wouldn't have came to Louisville like that. I don't. Like,
one thing, our fans are very intelligent, man. They don't forget. They remember big moments.
They don't forget a thing. So, we're coming into the matchup this Saturday at the Yum Center at 3:00. Louisville faces Memphis State. So Memphis, they bring a lot of physicality. They have, a good tempo, playing under Penny. Um, what do you think is the smartest approach that Louisville needs to take to win this game against Memphis?
Well, Memphis is sort of set up like Arkansas's team, right? They have a bunch of really great athletes. They have some length on the front line. They're not as disciplined. They're not as good executing as Arkansas is, but their athleticism and their length can still provide some problems. But one thing I think that Louisville can do is they can take advantage of Memphis in transition. Louisville wants to get out fast. Memphis is not a great team in transition, so I think you'll see Louisville try to take advantage of that, get down and get a lot of wide open threes, or even opportunities to where Memphis doesn't match up or there's no communication, leaving guys wide open, or bad closeouts with opportunity to get into the paint, maybe kick out for another three. So I think you'll see them take advantage of that. I also think you'll see Louisville come out and throw the first punch. They've been practicing they've had a whole week
Right.
since their last game against Indiana, so they've had good practice. I know Pat Kelsey's really on these guys about coming out and hitting first and being physical and setting the tone for the game. These guys really feed off of the energy in the Yum Center playing at home, so I think they'll use Memphis's aggressiveness against them, but I also think that both teams want to get up and down. I just think Louisville's going to execute at a higher rate than Memphis.
Right. What matchups that you see, give Louisville a good chance to win this game? Like as far as guard play or inside, I know for the past week or so we've been talking about the physicality that the bigs of Louisville need to have. What matchups do you kind of see Louisville taking advantage of?
Well, I think you have to start with the point guard matchup. You have Doug McDaniels, who's pretty much the head of the snake for Memphis. He's the point guard, but he's 5'11". He has to match up with Mikael Brown. Mikael Brown is 6'5". He's the engine that runs the Cardinals basketball team. So I think with his size, athleticism, ability to get in and finish and look over and see over Doug to find open guys, I think that'll be a key matchup for Louisville that they'll be able to take advantage of. I also think that Louisville's motion and innovative offense will cause a lot of problems for Memphis because they don't really communicate well, and especially being on the road. I don't see them executing, as well as they do when they're playing at home. So I think Louisville will be able to take advantage of that and find some opportunities. Now, mind you, Memphis does have some length. They have Simon Majak, and they have Aaron Bradshaw, the former UK and Ohio State guy, 2 7-footers in there. They got some pretty athletic forwards in there. But a matchup that I see that's going to be tough for Louisville is a guy named Zach Davis. He started, half the game for Memphis, really seems to be coming on. He's had a great game. These guys just beat Baylor at home, a big confidence booster for those guys. Zach Davis had 23 and 13, 6'7" wing. You want to call him a guard forward, but a guy that can really attack the basket. And Louisville is a team that, pretty much has 3 guards. So it's going to be a tough matchup for whoever it is because Zach Davis is going to have a size advantage because he's 6'7". Louisville doesn't have anybody 6'7" in that lineup. And so Memphis has Doug McDaniel, who's 5'11". They have Quante Berry, who's 6'4". Zach Davis, 6'7". They have Wharton Kid, he's 6'8". And then they have Majak Kid, that's 7 foot. So they match up pretty nice every place else. But that 3 spot, which is either going to be Conwell or McNeely, I'm pretty sure McNeely's probably going to draw that matchup. That's probably going to be a tougher matchup for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some Adrian Woolley checking into the game, possible matchup for Kenai Ruth as well. So, that could be a possible matchup issue for Louisville with that size and his ability to put his head down, attack the basket, and draw fouls.
Right. I wanted to ask you about Kenai. Just watching that Indiana game, I feel like he did come in and make a difference. I do feel like sometimes that he does need a little bit more playing time. What do you think about Kenai? And do you think that this could kind of be a game that he come out and kind of have a breakthrough performance?
Well, I think Kanai always plays hard, man. Whether he plays 19 minutes or whether Javon's hurt with the concussion protocol and he gets maybe like 25, 28 minutes. I think he comes in and he's probably the best guy on the team as pursuing rebounds. Like he always seems to wind up with like 6, 7, 8 rebounds in like the 15 to 18 minutes that he plays sometimes. He's one of my favorite players on the team. I love his frame, his athleticism. I love his attitude. Not only is he a great kid, but he's a great player as well. He's a great team player. He's always for the team. He's lifting up his teammates. Has a great ceiling. I think he needs to be a little bit more decisive. I've talked about this on the broadcast. Decisive when he's on the offensive end, and just continue to just believe in his own abilities and just play and not think so much. It looks like sometimes he's thinking out there instead of just playing. But one of my favorite players, I think he's going to have an impact, regardless of however many minutes he plays. He's a great player. He's always a boost for the team, and always somebody that's a threat to get out on in transition and try to put somebody on the highlight or put somebody on the poster, man.
Right. So if you're putting on your coaching hat, Coach O'Bannon, before the game in pregame message to the team, what are like some core points that you would emphasize on that the team needs to do in order to win?
The first thing I would stress is physicality. That is the first thing I would stress. I would stress being the aggressor. Being the aggressor is going to be key for this game, especially playing at home, right? And the energy of the home crowd. That'd be the first thing that I would tell these guys. And the second thing I would tell these guys to make sure that we're executing what we want to do. I think when you look back at the Arkansas game, the physicality forced these guys out of how they wanted to execute. So being physical and being able to make sure to execute what you want to do and taking your space when you have it. The third thing I would be is making sure you take care of the ball. The one thing you don't want to do with a team like Memphis is give these guys confidence to where you're turning the ball over, letting these guys get out in transition, getting some dunk, feeling good about themselves, just gaining momentum and getting some energy and really believing like they can come in and win. And the next thing is don't foul. Don't put these guys on the foul line to where they can get easy opportunities to stop the pace of the game, muddy up the game, slow it down, or try to get points while the clock is stopped. Don't foul. Don't turn the ball over. Make sure you rebound. With the trees in there, they have a couple of 7-footers. Make sure you rebound and get out and take advantage of these guys' transition defense to where they don't really communicate that well. I thought that was a point that even though they beat Baylor, I thought Baylor was able to take advantage of them in transition, being able to get down and get some wide open looks and penetrations from Memphis's lack of communication on the defensive transition.
So, Saturday's game is going to be really, really special, really, really special. So Louisville is actually going to be retiring the number 10, number 4 Junior Bridgeman, the legendary Junior Bridgeman, Louisville basketball legend, just great human being, humanitarian, billionaire, owned so many different businesses and so many different brands. He ended up passing away last year. A lot of people miss him. He meant so much to the university, but also just meant so much to this community. So it's just great to see that the university is going to be recognizing him and retiring his jersey number. And then also Louisville will be recognizing the 1975 Final Four team. So, that's kind of that era where everything started for Louisville basketball. Denny Crum, I think he was in his 3rd or 4th year in 1975. So there's a lot of great memories, and it's just great to see the university, honoring those guys and also honoring Mr. Bridgman. So what's kind of, I want to ask you 2 things. What's like a good memory that you have of Mr. Bridgman, and then what does it mean? What do you think it's going to mean to fans and to the team on Saturday recognizing Junior and the 1975 team?
Oh man, I'll start with the latter and go there and then I'll talk about my personal relationship with Mr. Bridgman. So I think it'll mean a lot for the team, especially for somebody that is revered in the community as he was. A lot of these guys that are playing on the team maybe didn't get a chance to know him or weren't around him long, if they were, to really understand who he was. But I think, when you hear the stories, when you read about the articles, when you talk to people about who he was, I think they understand the magnitude and significance of what he meant to the university, and not just the athletic program, but what he meant to the city of Louisville, and how he was an adopted native son of the city of Louisville. And so, man, I think that'll bring great emotion. I think it'll bring great cheers and great joy to have him honored, along with the 1975 Final Four team. And I think it'll be great for the team, man. And so, to answer your question about, a story with Mr. Bridgman, man, almost makes my eyes tear up just talking about it now, man. He was, man, you talk about, you mentioned a great human being. So I had a chance to meet Mr. Bridgman when I was in high school. His son, Ryan, and I went to Mail together and played on the basketball team for 3 years. And when I first saw him, I had no clue who he was. I had no clue. And I would always see him and I'd be like, man, that's Ryan's dad. And man, we'd just be talking. He'd be, kind of give me pointers here and there. And so my dad's like, man, you know who that is? I mean, no, it's Ryan's dad. And so then he kind of gave me the backstory of who he was, man. And he was one of the key reasons I was able to attend the University of Louisville. He helped me get my scholarship to the University of Louisville.
Oh, wow.
And man, he did so many wonderful things that people don't even know about, that he doesn't say, doesn't brag, and like it's not, posting stuff on social media stuff. Like he just does things out of the goodness of his heart, man. And when I went to his service, he had different speakers, the family had different people come up and give testimonials about what he meant to them. And one person really encapsulated it when he said, I think of Junior Bridgeman, we call him JB, as my compass. People will get in situations and, they, think about which direction to go, and they'd be like, well, what would JB do? And like, for me, man, that is somebody that if it wasn't my own parents, that would be like a compass for me. Like, man, like what would, if I called Mr. Bridgman or I text Mr. Bridgman, what would he say?
Right.
What would he do with, like, when nobody's around, nobody's looking, like what would he tell me to do? And man, that is what he meant to me, man. Quick story. So I would always come home and do basketball camps. I did them in different places. And so each time I would come home during my stints of playing in Europe, I would catch up with him a few times, and sometimes go to his office and talk to him. And he'd be like, man, you doing your basketball camp this year? I said, I am, Mr. B. He's like, man, well, where are you doing it at? I was like, oh, man, I'm doing it at Mid-America. I'm doing it at Mail, or wherever I was hosting it at. We would just continue to talk and just chop it up, man, and just catch up and laugh about different things. And, man, he would always send my kids lunch to camp. It wasn't even something that we asked for, but it just goes to show you how he was such a servant leader of somebody of his magnitude and of his stature. He would just send my kids lunch, man, just to make sure that they have. And he was just always a giver, man. Just always he always talked about everybody being family and serving people like their family, man. He was in the people business, and that's why he was so successful, man. But you talk about a great man and somebody that, I have a deep reverence for and that I truly miss, man. And, just a great human being. You can't say enough about him and about his family,
Right,
as well, man. So, man, just a great man. I'm happy to see him getting honored. I wish that he was here to see the flowers that he was getting. But, his legacy will live on forever.
Yeah, man. He's super, super special to my family, man. I remember my dad, Steve, had a business idea in like the early 2000s, and like no one would listen to him except for Mr. B. Mr. B like literally gave my father like a chance of a lifetime, like literally changed our lives, you know. So like I'll be forever indebted to Mr. B. Like, and then the thing is, you know, I was close to him when I was like, you know, in my teenage years. And then, you know, I didn't see him for, you know, for a few years. And I ended up going to, it was like a GLI conference downtown. And I saw him, and me and him caught eye contact, like, you know, kind of some distance away. And he pointed at me, and I'm just like, I mean, you didn't have to do that. All of these people are standing around you, and you still like saw me and like recognized me, showed me, gave me love, shook my hand, like asked me how. So that just meant the world to me, man. It meant the world to me. Like, man, he still remembered who I was, like, you know, after all these years, and still showed me the same love. So he was like a mentor to my dad, like a big brother to my dad. So you know, always super indebted to Mr. B. And like you said, when you think about certain situations, it's like, what would he do? You know, how would he handle this situation? So I mean, he's greatly missed. So, but Memphis, hopefully Louisville can bring home the W to honor Mr. Bridgeman and the 1975 team. Any other final thoughts before we shut it down?
Let's go out here and get a W. That's the main thing. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's been a great episode. Murph, we did it again. That's a wrap for the player.
Make sure you tell the people. Make sure they like, subscribe. Make sure you go look up everything on social media. The Player's Perspective Uncensored on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. Make sure that you like it and subscribe.
And make sure you listen on your favorite podcast platform while you're riding. You'll find us, and make sure you tune in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.